Trading mistake number 2, not being in charge of your time. In the previous video, I talked about not showing up for pre-arranged appointments, particularly for quotes when you've made an arrangement to turn up and do a quote and you don't, and how that's a terrible waste of your marketing money and bad for your reputation. I talked about it from that perspective and from your customer's perspective and how frustrating it is. But it doesn't just happen with potential jobs. You know, can you come and quote? It also happens with other types of meeting. Happens to me sometimes. People book a meeting with me, a strategy session, the free strategy session to see if you want to do coaching or not, and then they don't show. It happens a lot less when people are paying me for my time, which is a surprise. Not. Right, and this brings me to my point, which is not that you shouldn't fail to show up to meetings with me. Well, of course you shouldn't, because they're important and it's a bit rude to not show. But the point I want to address is that people pay me so that my program can help them change their businesses up and turn it into a better one. And that what's going on for people when they don't show up for a meeting either with me or for something else is this. Right? A meeting with me might be great, might change your world, and it might not. It's an unknown quantity, so it has a certain kind of level of importance in your mind. It's got some risk attached to it as well. Now, they either forget to show up because they're disorganised and they didn't write it down, or they didn't have a system, so they forgot to come. That's possible, and it's common. Or when it came to it, they prioritised something else, like finishing a job or doing some other work in their business. Right? And they decided that was more important than meeting with me, so they didn't bother showing. And I talk in a later video about how it's a bit confronting to ring up and say, John, I've changed my mind, I'm not going to come. But that's what you should do. Right? You should be prioritising. Prioritising is fine, right? I'm going to teach you and encourage you to prioritise where you put your time in your business. But what I want you to do is prioritise on purpose, not kind of by default or by accident when you're a bit busy and that doesn't feel important now. Because it felt important yesterday or last week when you set the time. And now, because you're a bit busy on site, it kind of feels less important right now because it would be fiddly to pack up your tools and come back again tomorrow. That's the wrong reason to not show up for a meeting, whether it's with me or whether it's something else. This is what I want to warn you against, right? A meeting with me falls into the same category as many of those other things you can and should be doing to grow and scale your business, right? Setting your bookkeeping up properly, understanding your margins and your numbers and talking to your bookkeeper or your accountant, building systems, calling potential customers, following up on your quotes, right? All these jobs are easy to prioritise lower than finishing a job on site or something else. They're easy to push aside and defer, right? And I use myself as an example, but really all of these have this in common. They're easily displaced by this other stuff, and you can continue to defer them without suffering kind of immediate consequences. The worst thing that happens if you miss a meeting with me is you get a grumpy text saying, where the fuck were you? You might get a second one because you did after all say, you know, you wanted to meet me, but after that it goes away. I'll disappear. I'm not going to hound you forever. You know, I've got things to do, and so it will slide away, and the opportunity to do business coaching will slide away. There'll be no more immediate consequences than that, except that maybe in a few months you'll go, oh, I never hired that business coach, or I never checked it out, and you may or may not return to it. So you'll cost yourself that opportunity. The same's true with a quote you don't turn up to. You know, it's rare that they ring you and say, where were you? They just call someone else. So the pain doesn't happen to you, and you allow yourself to keep getting away with it. But what you're doing is, you're making these decisions about where you go and where you go with your time by accident, not deliberately, not overtly or proactively, even though I don't like that word. Right, the same goes for following people up, the same goes for following your quotes or doing your quotes, all that sort of stuff. So those costs are hidden. And my job, of course, is to not let you hide that stuff from yourself and to help you make those positive decisions by writing them down, by making them up front before you get under pressure on site, and by helping you to stick to your word when you make the decision unhurried and unchallenged, to stick to it and to change your mindset so you stick to your word, which will do you good with your customers and will help you do the important things that will drive your business forward. Now, I can help you. I'm a business coach. If you think you want me to help you do that, you know what to do. You need to book a 10-minute chat and we'll meet on the phone and we'll decide whether we can work together. If that's too much, come to the next Tools Down workshop. That's 2 days of me explaining my framework for how to grow and scale a business. And if that's too much, subscribe and get these emails sent to your inbox every Tuesday. See you later.